the hallmarks of the three objections. Number one is, God, it's going to bring more traffic to the neighborhood. Duh, tell me something that I don't know. We're bringing a cornfield in, it's going to bring traffic. Number two is that it's going to decrease my property value. And number three, and this is the banal catch-all, it's incompatible with my housing today. And you can be rest assured, you can go to any planning commission across the country and you'll hear somebody talk about those three. And notwithstanding the fact that well-reasoned reports of the planners, and the planners, I think, are doing their best to accommodate growth. And then the well-reasoned arguments on the part of the developers and the builders, we are one vote. Or in the case of the planners, we're there to be abused. The staff are there to be abused by the citizens or by the politicians. And it all boils down to many politicians not having the political or the fortitude to say, you know, this is provided for in our comp plan, this is provided for in our zoning bylaw, this is good, and we're going to encourage it, and we're going to encourage it to the way that we can maximize what's the rights that are spelled out, and therefore abate some of the rising escalations. The final failure, and this is really relates to the whole notion. I guess the one thing I should say is that in Minnesota, home ownership is above 70%. So we lead the nation in terms of home ownership. And with a rate as high as 70%, and recognizing that there will always be an element of society who want to rent. It's a fact of life. Not everybody wants to own a home. Some people are comfortable renting. When you combine those two, you have a residual amount, and those are truly the people who are not being addressed by the housing market, the ownership housing market. But 78%, one could make the argument that we really are doing well in terms of providing for home ownership in the Twin Cities area, and the area of the population that's not being reserved are the low income, the hard to serve people. And in the face of that, I've made the argument that, you know, if housing truly is a societal need, then society at large should step up and provide the resources necessary to provide the housing for the broader group. And that talks about the third situation, is the failure of the government to provide the necessary capital to produce the housing necessary for the less affluent members of society. And in light of that, that's caused a situation whereby public policy people are saying it's the Robin Hood principle. Well, we're not prepared to do it, but we will have you do it. You as builders do it. And what we will ask you to do is to raise the cost. Well, we're not going to give you any subsidies or any assistance, nor are we going to give you added density per se, or any meaningful reductions in terms of regulation to allow you to recover the cost of producing this non-market housing. But rather what we're going to say is have the middle class, have the market people, the market purchasers pay for the cost. So if you are obligated in many municipalities to produce 20% affordable housing, which has a price of, let's just pull out numbers, $180,000. Yet the market in your subdivision with normal profits is $240,000. You've got a $60,000 cross subsidy coming from the market units to the non-market units. And those that are paying it are the people who are buying the market units, and therefore the price of the market units have been raised to pay for the subsidy. And that's just not fair. If society truly values housing and has said that we as a goal of society are to provide housing for all, then we need to step to the plate and to provide assistance to provide that. I think the final concluding comments that I run, and then I'll pass over to my colleagues here, and we'll be more than happy to talk about it, is, you know, do planners cause an escalation in the price of housing? And I think that the whole issue is not necessarily planners are merely servants of their political masters. And in many cases, at least in the municipalities that I'm working with, there's not the stridency that we see across the nation with respect to the pushing of no growth, limited growth, anti-growth sentiments, or even the strong neo-traditional bent to the tune that that's the only mantra that you could deal with. However, the planners have a notion where they believe that they know better in terms of what the market really wants. And as a planner, the one thing that I was taught very early is that first and foremost, I am there to serve the public interest. And the polling of society is very clear as to what society's housing preferences are. And that very much is to own housing and to own affordable single-family housing. However, there is not policies being advanced that strongly adhere to that stated impression, in my view, that being an expression of the public interest. So unfortunately, there's a belief that, and I think this is true across the country, is that we as planners can manipulate the market and we can bring about a form of housing that may not be reflective of what the housing wants. We can impose conditions and aspects on there that increase the cost of housing and make it more difficult for us as builders. And surprisingly or not, we as builders want to build the most affordable housing we can. The reason being is I will make the same margin on an affordable house as I will do on $1 million house. I'll make more money, but I will make the same margin. However, if I can deal with a broader market base, I'm down in that base of that pyramid, and there's a lot more people that I can sell. I get greater velocity, rather than being at the top of the pyramid, where there may be one individual out of 100 who is able to afford that $1 million house that I build, versus 60, 70, or 80 out of 100 who could afford the housing, the most affordable housing at the bottom. So I think that we, and I'll conclude with this, we as a broad-based series of stakeholders in the affordable housing industry have done a poor job in terms of strongly advocating the need of making housing more affordable rather than just being seduced into the public policy debate with respect to affordable housing. And until such time as we shift that climate or that debate platform, we are always going to be dealing with a very narrow public policy issue rather than trying to make housing affordable for all. So thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Let me get in a couple words about San Jose. Many of the wilder ideas, smart growth starts on the West Coast and heads eastward. Everything is distorted in San Jose. Our average home price is now $700,000. I've been in office buildings the last few years, and my business partner for 25 years, been my business partner, was the previous planning director, City of San Jose. And 25 years ago, he established the urban growth boundary. And this will be a line around the city. We'll try to control growth and utilities inside the line, with the understanding that every year or two, that line will be gradually expanded. So the price of land inside and outside will be comparable. So the environmentalists got involved a few years ago and they cut that off. That line is pretty well firm. And we have prices now, $50,000 an acre on one side, across the street's $1 million an acre for the builders to pay. And yet the Greenbelt people and the Sierra Club people will tell you that does not increase housing costs. And we've switched the other way, where the environmentalists are saying minimum 25 units the acre, not maximum, minimum. You have to build it. We've got certain sections that are going 95 units the acre minimum.